Have you ever pondered the moon's mysterious influence on our planet? What if I told you it could help your garden thrive? Yes, you heard right. An ancient practice, gardening by the moon's phases or lunar gardening, has been used by various cultures for centuries. As we journey through this fascinating subject, we'll uncover the science behind it, explore how each moon phase affects plant growth, and even share practical tips on syncing your gardening activities with the lunar calendar. Stay tuned as we delve into the fascinating science behind gardening by the lunar calendar. Let's unravel the science behind the moon's influence on plant growth. You may have heard of the gravitational pull of the moon affecting the tides in our oceans, but did you know that this same gravitational pull also influences the water in plants? Fascinating, isn't it? Now imagine this. The moon orbits the Earth, and as it does so, it goes through different phases, from the new moon to the full moon and back again. Each of these phases has a unique gravitational pull on the Earth, and consequently, on the water in our plants. During the new moon, when the moon is between the Earth and the Sun, its gravitational pull is at its strongest. This pull encourages the rise of water in the soil, making it an excellent time for planting seeds that benefit from a lot of moisture. As the moon waxes towards the full moon, its gravitational pull begins to lessen. This decrease allows the water to sink deeper into the soil, providing a well of moisture for the roots to tap into. This is a great time to plant root crops or perennials that need a deeper water source. Then we have the full moon. At this phase, the gravitational pull is at its weakest, causing the water to sink even further into the soil. This is an ideal time for pruning or harvesting crops, as the plant's energy is directed downwards into the roots. As the moon starts to wane, the gravitational pull slowly increases again, bringing the water back up to the surface. This period is perfect for planting above-ground crops that require less water at the roots. And that's not all. Renowned botanist Dr. Luna Greenfield explains, the moon's light also plays a role. During full moon nights, plants receive more light, which can influence their growth and development. Now that we've unveiled the science, let's explore the moon's different phases and their effects on your plants. Each moon phase has a unique impact on different types of plants. Let's delve into the profound influence of the lunar cycle on our botanical companions. We'll start with the new moon, the phase when the moon is invisible from Earth. It's a period of darkness and stillness, a time when the gravitational pull is at its strongest. This increased pull brings moisture up to the surface, making it a perfect time to plant above-ground leafy crops like lettuce, spinach, and cabbage. As the moon transitions into its first quarter phase, it's half illuminated and growing or waxing. This phase is ideal for plants that produce their seeds outside their fruit, like broccoli, cauliflower, and grains. The gravitational pull is less, but moonlight is increasing, providing a balance that encourages leaf growth. Next, we have the full moon. The moon is fully illuminated, casting a beautiful glow across the night sky. The gravitational pull is lower, but the moonlight is very strong. This is a great time to plant root crops and bulb flowers like carrots, potatoes, and onions. The increased moonlight stimulates the roots and helps these types of plants to thrive. After the full moon, we enter the last quarter phase. The moon starts to wane, and the light decreases each night. The gravitational pull is high, but the moonlight is decreasing. This phase is a time for rest, a period not suitable for planting but excellent for cultivation, pruning, and harvesting. Finally, we come to the dark moon phase, also known as the balsamic moon. This is a time of rest, healing, and dreaming. It's a chance for gardeners to take a break, plan for the next cycle, and allow the soil to restore its nutrients. Now, let's not forget about the blue moon. While it doesn't have any specific influence on plant growth, it's always a beautiful sight to behold and a reminder of the recurring cycles of life. One thing to keep in mind is that these are general guidelines. Different plants may respond differently to moon phases due to their unique biological makeup. It's always a good idea to experiment and observe how your plants respond to the lunar cycles. So there you have it. Each phase of the moon has its own influence on plant growth, from the new moon's gravitational pull promoting leafy growth, to the full moon's light stimulating root crops, and finally to the waning moon's call for rest and rejuvenation. Armed with this knowledge, let's move on to some practical gardening tips you can adopt. Aligning your gardening activities with the lunar calendar can yield incredible results. Let's delve into some practical lunar gardening tips. The lunar calendar breaks down the month into 4 main phases: the new moon, first quarter, full moon, and last quarter. Each phase brings a unique energy that can influence your plant's growth and health. In the new moon phase, the moon's gravitational pull is at its strongest, causing moisture to rise in the soil. This makes it an excellent time to plant or transplant flowering annuals, vegetables, and grains that bear fruit above ground. Think tomatoes, spinach, and corn. As the moon moves into the first quarter, its gravitational pull lessens, but the moonlight increases. This period is ideal for plants that require strong leaf growth. Leafy vegetables like lettuce, cabbage, and kale will thrive if planted during this time. When the full moon phase rolls around, we see a decrease in moonlight but an increase in gravitational pull. This combination is perfect for root crops and perennials, plants that bear their fruit below the soil surface. Carrots, potatoes, and perennial flowers are some examples. Finally, in the last quarter we have the least moonlight and gravitational pull. It's a period of rest, making it an ideal time for pruning, mulching, and harvesting. Now, let's bring in some real-world experiences to illustrate these points. Meet Jane, an avid gardener who used to struggle with her tomato plants. They were often weak and bore little fruit. She decided to try lunar gardening and planted her next batch of tomatoes during the new moon phase. The result? Strong, healthy tomato plants that yielded an abundant harvest. Or consider Bob, a seasoned gardener who was skeptical about the lunar calendar's influence. He decided to give it a shot and planted his potato crop during the full moon phase. He was pleasantly surprised when he harvested a bumper crop of large, healthy potatoes. As these stories show, aligning your gardening activities with the lunar calendar can be a game changer. It can transform your garden from good to great, all thanks to the moon's influence. So how can you get started? First, get a lunar calendar. This will help you keep track of the moon's phases and plan your gardening activities accordingly. Second, consider the type of plants you have and their specific needs. Are they leafy vegetables, root crops, or fruit-bearing plants? This will determine the best phase for planting. Lastly, don't be afraid to experiment. Gardening is as much an art as it is a science. Now let's have a little fun with what we've learned so far. Ready for a quick lunar gardening quiz? Let's test your lunar knowledge, shall we? Here's the first question. In which moon phase would you plant your root crops for optimal growth? Is it the new moon, the first quarter, the full moon, or the last quarter? Pause for a moment. Got your answer? If you said the last quarter, you're spot on. Next question. When is the best time to prune your plants? During the waxing moon or the waning moon? Take a guess. If you've chosen the waning moon, you're absolutely correct. Final question. True or false? The full moon phase is the best time to harvest most crops. What do you think? If you said true, you're right again. Congratulations! You've just taken the first step in understanding lunar gardening. Great job! Now, are you ready to embrace lunar gardening? The moon's influence on your garden is undeniable. Harnessing its power, you can create a flourishing green haven. It's not just folklore, but a practice rooted in ancient wisdom and modern science. So why not give lunar gardening a try? Align your gardening activities with the lunar calendar and see the transformation unfold. You'll be amazed at the vitality and vibrancy of your plants. Embrace the moon and watch your garden thrive like never before.